Congressman John Lewis, welcome back to Meet the Press, sir.
Well, thank you very much.
You did something that was fairly unusual. You testified against a fellow member of Congress who is up for Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. First of all, why'd you do it?
I felt very strongly that we need an Attorney General who will speak up and speak out for all of our citizens, especially for those that have been discriminated against, speak out for voting rights, for what is right, for what is fair, and what is just. This man didn't have a history of speaking up, speaking out, of being on the side of what is fair and for what is just. I grew up in rural Alabama. I tasted the bitter fruits of segregation and racial discrimination. It is still real today.
There's not a single Republican that seems to be heeding your concern. What does that tell you? What does that say to you?
It says in so many words that the Republicans are going along with the order of things. It's a new day, and they need to come aboard. They may be in control of the Senate today, the White House, but one day we will be in control of the White House again, the Senate, and the House.
You're known for having one of the largest hearts in this institution. You've forgiven people that have beaten you. What would Jeff Sessions have to do to make you feel more comfortable with him as Attorney General? What could he do or say to you to make you feel more comfortable?
Well, when the Supreme Court decision came down a few short years ago, when the Supreme Court gutted the heart and soul of the voting rights side, he said, this is good. This is good for Alabama. It's not good for Alabama. It's not good for the South. It's not good for America. We need to open up the political process and let everybody come in. And it doesn't matter whether people are black or white, Latino, Asian American, or Native American. Mm-hmm. It's the right thing to do. When I spoke at the March on Washington on August 28, 1963, I said then, one person, one vote. And I still believe that today.
He's likely to get confirmed. What do you plan on doing to try to push him in your direction?
Well, I will work with my colleagues in the Congressional Black Caucus, the Hispanic Caucus, other Democratic members of Congress, the House and the Senate, to try to get him to do the right thing.
You have forged relationships with many presidents. Do you plan on trying to forge a relationship with Donald Trump?
You know, I believe in forgiveness. I believe in trying to work with people. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very difficult. I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You do not consider him a legitimate president. Why is that?
I think the Russians participated in helping this man get elected, and they helped destroy the candidacy of Hillary Clinton. I don't plan to attend the inauguration. It would be the first one that I miss since I've been in the Congress. You cannot be at home with something that you feel that is wrong.
That's going to send a big message to a lot of people in this country that you don't believe he's a legitimate president.
I think there was a conspiracy on the part of the Russians and others to help him get elected. That's not right. That's not fair. That's not the open democratic process.
You're a man of action. You have been your whole life. You believe if this president is not legitimate. What would you tell young folks, young activists to do?
I would say to young people, and I continue to say it to people today, and I'm going to say it during the next few days, as we celebrate and commemorate the birthday of Martin Luther King Jr. And when you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have a moral obligation to do something. You cannot afford to be quiet or to be silent.
So what should be done? What should Nancy Pelosi do? What should Chuck Schumer do? What should Barack Obama do?
We must not be silent. We all must act.
Do you think the president's been too silent?
No, I'm not going to suggest that the president has been too silent. He's the outgoing president. But those of us in position and those of us not in position, we got to go out there and make some noise. We got to organize.
That is a powerful thing to say, coming from you, that you do not believe he's a legitimately elected president. What should be done?
We have to continue to work, continue to speak up and speak out.
If he's not legitimate, though, how do you accept working with him under any
Well,
circumstance?
it's going to be very hard and very difficult, almost impossible for me to work with him.
If he called you up tomorrow and said, what can I do to get you to even consider working with me?
Mr. President, Mr. Trump, it's going to be hard, it's going to be tough. You know, I've had an opportunity to meet with every president since President Kennedy, except President Nixon. I met with President Nixon when he was out of the White House. And it's painful. It is hard, it is difficult to see our country come to where it is today. There's a whole body of people in America today that believe there was a conspiracy, a deliberate, systematic effort to destroy the candidacy of Hillary Clinton and place this person in the White House. There was outside forces.
It sounds like you believe the president's farewell address, which the guts of his speech, you know, a lot of people, there were poignant moments there with Michelle and the family, but the guts of his speech was about his concern about the state of the democracy. I take it you share that concern.
I deeply share the concern with President Barack Obama. We can go forward, we can stand still, or we can go backward. I want to see our nation and our people go forward. I have never seen anything like this in my lifetime. There are people in America today that are afraid. They walk up to me and say, Congressman, what should we do?
What do you tell them?
Organize, mobilize. Similar to what President Obama said. You cannot sit on the sideline. You got to be engaged. People walk up and say, I haven't got over the election. So I'm in pain. I need a hug.
Is it dispiriting to you, though, when you hear this after turnout wasn't strong in some of these northern states? It wasn't good in Milwaukee. It wasn't good in Detroit. She lost Wisconsin. She lost Michigan. Do you sit there and think that some of this is on the Democrats?
Maybe we didn't do everything that we could have done. We didn't get out there and push and pull and carry the good news.
We are at a time where it seems you're going to have half the country that doesn't believe he's a legitimate president. You're going to have half the country that thinks the rest of us are not legitimate. How do we repair this?
We must come together as a people, continue to work together, pull together, get our young people and people not so young to be hopeful, to be optimistic. I tell people all the time, so don't get down, be hopeful, be optimistic. Don't give up.
This is not optimistic, John Lewis.
Well,
I've seen you optimistic.
yes.
You don't seem optimistic.
I'm going to continue to speak and preach a message of hope. I'm hopeful. I am optimistic in spite of the state of things.
Can you imagine ever sharing a stage with Donald Trump? Donald Trump came to you and said, you know, I want forgiveness here. I want your trust, or I want your, you know, would you take him to Selma?
Well, by going to Selma, like President Bush, President Clinton, President Obama, maybe he would learn something. Maybe he would get religion.
So you would bring him. You would do that for him if he asked.
Well, I would not invite him to come.
You wouldn't invite him. But if he asked to come, would you let him?
I wouldn't try to do anything to prevent him from coming.
Does this way this election has gone, does it somehow, does it change your opinion of what the last 8 years have been about?
It doesn't change my opinion about the last 8 years, because I think with Barack Obama, we had a president that was strong, firm, was a man of hope, a man of faith. He lifted people, he inspired people. And it didn't matter the race or background or what section of the country they came from.
The story arc of history of this country, we're going from the first African-American president, a breakthrough. At the same time, we've just elected a president that you believe was illegitimately elected. What does that say about the state of race relations in this country?
Well, it said that on one hand we made a lot of progress, we've come distance, but we're not there yet. And I think when the president spoke a few days ago, he said we're not a post-racial society. And some people said that, and some people believe that when he was first elected, but we're not there yet. The scars and stings of racism are still deeply embedded in American society. We cannot sweep it under some rug or in some dark corner. We have to continue to do all we can to move us closer to what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called the beloved community, where we can redeem the soul of America and lay down the burden of hate, separation, and division.
If he's not a legitimately elected president in your mind, there are tools that Congress has. Do you think Congress should use those tools? Do you think, are you one of those that believe that the impeachment process should begin?
Well, I truly believe that we should find out what happened and how it happened.
John McCain wants a special committee, select committee of some form.
I agree with Senator McCain. I think we should have a special commission to get to the bottom of what happened, what role did the Russians play in determining the leader of our country. When you have someone being elected who said that the president or the leader of Russia is stronger or better than our own president.
That's just something you can't forgive.
I will never forget it.
This is there's going to be a weekend of commemorations. It's it's the holiday that we commemorate Dr. King. I take it this is going to be a tougher one for you?
Well, it's going to be out of the ordinary, but I'm going to continue to go out around America and tell the story of Martin Luther King Jr. During the past few days, I've had an opportunity to speak to the Coast Guard, to speak at the FBI headquarters. I had never been in the FBI building before. And then went down and spoke to several hundred employees.
Huh. And what would Dr. King say about this moment?
Dr. King would say to all of us to never give up, never become bitter, be hopeful, be optimistic, and keep pushing.
I'm going to leave it there. John Lewis, thank you.
Well, thank you, sir.
Hey NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.